Welcome back. South Dakota State has already experienced the peaks and valleys of the Missouri Valley Football Conference. Jacks are 1-1 heading into Saturday's home game. Here are Tom Nieman and Tyler Merriam to get you set as the Jacks get into Week 3 in conference play.
Hey, it's Tyler Merriam, the radio voice of the Jackrabbits. How long have you been the radio voice for South Dakota State?
Been doing football since '09, and when Steve Emming retired, I did play-by-play starting in '11. So this is year 7 as the play-by-play guy.
All right, let's get into some football here for the Jackrabbits. In Youngstown a week ago, awful game for South Dakota State. Come back a week later, turn it around against Southern Illinois. What was the difference? I mean, obviously different opponents, different situations, but what was the difference you saw in the Jackrabbits against Southern Illinois?
Complete 180, like you said, and it was so impressive. I think the biggest thing that jumped out to me was just on all 3 phases they played so well. That's as close to a perfect first half as I've ever seen a John Stiglmeyer coach team have. Special teams, offense, defense, and I think there was a little bit of, they heard all the hype, you know, and you start to believe it a little bit, and I think the Youngstown State game might have been a reminder of that this isn't just given to you, you have to go out and earn it, and they certainly earned it on Saturday against SIU.
Was there more purpose and more get out and go and more effort, I guess, just more try in this game against Southern Illinois that you noticed, or am I making that up?
I don't know if there was so much effort. I think more energy. Maybe that's a better way to put it. I think, you know, being in front of the home crowd and having something to prove, a little, you know, chip on your shoulder. It's always easier to be the hunter than it is the hunted, and I think that might have been an example of that on Saturday.
Everything was crisp, and the offense really got going. What did you see different in the offense in this game against Southern?
Well, certainly being able to assert dominance at the line of scrimmage offensively and being able to run the football. Brady Mengarelli had a lot of cutbacks, but it starts because the O-line allowed him to get to the second level. And if you try to square up Brady Mengarelli, you're going to have issues defensively. And that's part of why he had the 200 yards. That O-line did such a great job. And they struggled at times in the run game at Youngstown, but keep in mind, they didn't let Youngstown sack Taryn Christian, and Youngstown had one of the best teams in the nation in sacks going in. That O-line's kind of been the forgotten about unit. They played pretty well again on Saturday.
It was fun to see Taryn find Marquise Lewis and find Skylar Kavanaugh and some of these other guys.
Yeah, to get those other guys involved, when you have Goddard miss almost the whole game, he only played the first 2 series, Winnicky was in and out. Maybe last year that's a concern for South Dakota State. How do you get these other guys involved? They struggled in getting the supporting cast, super touches, and being able to get a lot of production out of those guys. That hasn't been an issue this year. We've seen Cade Johnson make some big plays. He brought up the 2 touchdowns for Lewis. Skylar Kavanaugh getting involved. They did a much better job of getting those other guys involved, and part of it is they have one more year under their belt, and they're a little, they're more prepared to be able to take on that load.
And Taryn has been really good at looking for those guys and finding them. Switch over to defense. Your impression of the defense against Southern Illinois. Shut them out in the first half.
I think the most impressive part to me was SIU came out early and tried to do what Youngstown did. Lined up in 2 backs, wanted to be physical. Jacks didn't let that happen. Kellen Solik, who was a little bit lethargic at Youngstown, hadn't practiced all week going into that game, makes a big play on the first series with the strip sack. That kind of set the tone. Jordan Brown played phenomenal at quarterback. Comes up with 8 tackles, an interception, a pass breakup. I think that secondary's playing well, and we maybe gets overshadowed a little bit, but with that high arc passing attack that Sam Straub has, the way that he was able to handle things, that entire defensive unit led by Jordan Brown, that really impressed me on Saturday.
And we got off the field on 3rd down. That was a good thing.
The 3rd down thing is so key. That was a huge, huge issue last year for South Dakota State. It was a big problem at Youngstown State a week and a half ago. And for South Dakota State to be able to win the 3rd down battle on offense and defense, if they can get off the field on 3rd down with that offense, this is a team that's very tough to beat. But as we've seen at times over the years, the Youngstown State game, the playoff game in NDSU last year, when they struggle on 3rd down, that really puts that offense behind the 8 ball.
5 games in. Hard to tell where we're at. That was an outstanding performance against Southern Illinois, but they're not as good as Youngstown, especially up front on the defensive and offensive lines. It's just hard to tell where the Jacks are at right now.
Kind of like that police sketch artist who, you know, we have the outline of the face, but we don't really have the nose or the eyes yet. You know, we need a few more details to really be able to pencil this thing in. So there's a lot of questions still. Certainly they're on the right path. They're on the upward tick, if you will. I don't know how much more we're going to learn in the next couple of weeks, but certainly when you get into that gauntlet, those final 4 conference games, we'll learn a heck of a lot about this team.
All right, and Northern Iowa comes in here on Saturday. I believe they've got 1 rushing touchdown on the season. They've been throwing the ball around a little bit more, but what do you know about UNI?
Yeah, Eli Dunn wants to throw the ball all over the field. He's done so with great success. He's top 15 in a number of categories in the nation in passing. They want to throw the ball a lot more than they have. Defensively, their numbers are below average, but they've been in every game. Outside of the opener, when they lost at Iowa State, their other 4 games have all been decided in the final minute. So they played a lot of close games, and they're going to come in hungry. They're already sitting kind of behind the 8 ball at 2-3. If they lose on Saturday, they really are in a big hole. So it's almost a must-win for Mark Farley's team.
All right. Nice Hobo Day beard, by the way.
Thank you very much. I'm disappointed in yours.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Tom. Like you mentioned, it is Hobo Day on Saturday. Homecoming at SDSU, and the football game is at 2 o'clock. So we'll have that live on Midco Sports Network 2, HD channel 624. When we come back, hear from UND volleyball head coach Mark Pryor about his team, who's 4-2 in the Big Sky play, and later Jody Norstead and Carla Metz go head-to-head. This is Midco Sports Tonight.